Welcome to Catch and Go. In today's title, we're going to do the title called The Trigger, the Two-State Solution. I believe with all of my heart that you're going to be truly blessed. For PowerPoint number 1, simply write the fulfillment of Joel chapter 3 verse 2. PowerPoint number 2, simply write it triggers the rapture, and immediately seconds into the video the Lord said simply look up. PowerPoint number 3, it's a peace treaty, the 7-year tribulation period. Then I'm going to give you the key 2 points and key components, and it's shaping up so quickly as the Lord showed me in the realm of the Spirit the word acceleration, and that is, you simply write for PowerPoint number 1, the white horse. For PowerPoint number 2, it's a masterpiece by the Antichrist, but it's a greater and a masterpiece by God himself, by Jehovah Jireh, and it's called the Abraham Accord. That's the key. Those are the 2 key components. The rider on that white horse from Revelation chapter 6 verse 1, and then you simply got Revelation chapter 19. Then PowerPoint number 2, the key is simply the Abraham Accord. You see that the Saudi Crown Prince just yesterday was at the White House holding a meeting with Donald J. Trump, and I can tell you that all the players are in place. Let me say that again. All the players are in place, but there's one guy, and that guy is a guy by the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, waiting not only to get the green light in the moment of the greatest anticipation that the world, civilization, all of humanity cannot wait to see. God showed me the word reveal. And God is simply saying, I believe with all of my heart that he's about to reveal who is the Antichrist, but the coming false prophet. This title called The Trigger, the Two-State Solution. You see Joel 3:2 in the making. But you got Joel 2 verse 1. You will hear the sound of that trumpet. And that trumpet is going to blow, because I'm going to release a title pretty soon, which is the continuation to part 15 of the Kingdom of Heaven. It's at hand. And you need to realize one thing, that in this title, the trigger, the two-state solution, what triggers Armageddon, what triggers the 7-year tribulation period, what ushers in the peace treaty, what ushers in Daniel chapter 9, verse 24 and 27, the Abraham Accord. You see, all the players are in place. You see that we are witnessing what God is beginning to reveal under his inspiration, an inspiring word. The inspiring word from Genesis 1 all the way to Revelation chapter 22, where the glory of God is revealing all the players that are in place, the globalists, leaders globally around the World Economic Forum, the UN, and the UN has voted and not only have blessed the heart of Donald J. Trump to put together this whole thing when it comes to the Gaza Strip and when it comes to this peace, so-called troops in the Gaza Strip and in the Middle East. But I got news for you. The only thing you're going to see is what God showed me. The word escalation. You're going to see escalation. You're going to see the Middle East blow up in not only flame, not only the Golan Heights. You're going to see the invasion. You're going to see Revelation 6:1, famine, pestilence, hunger, starvation. And you're going to see simply a resurrection moment. But you're going to see, when I said the resurrection moment, I'm speaking clearly, revealing to you from Ezekiel 37, the dry bones. You're going to see that what triggers this whole thing. And what triggers the 7-year tribulation period is the Abraham Accord. And the Lord took me into the realm of the Spirit, popped the window open, and he showed me those 3 structures over in Abu Dhabi. And the grace of God is saying that also what he just flashed to me just now is the Sunday law and a one world religion. We are seconds away from God revealing who the Antichrist is. But remember Hosea 6:1-3. Remember Revelation chapter 4, where it says that you need to look up, because we are seconds away from watching the Ezekiel 38 war be fulfilled. We are watching the fulfillment of Joel 3:2, not only accelerating, shaping up. You're going to see the 2-state solution. And I have said, going back to 2020, that if Bibi simply doesn't cave in, and Bibi doesn't give in, I know Bibi wasn't the prime minister at that time, but what I'm saying, that what I've been saying since 2020 is that at some point you're going to see God fulfill what was incomplete back in 2020, left incomplete. And he had to bring completion the entire structure of all the players in place, the infrastructure and this technology when it comes to AI. And what I simply want you to understand is one thing, that in 2020, 2021, 2022, around there, 2023, I believe 2021, 2022, I said at some point, God has to bring Bibi and Trump back on the world stage. You saw that Bibi won his election. Not only he is the prime minister and the current prime minister to the nation of Israel, but you saw that Trump won also and is not only the current U.S. president. That I have said over and over that Trump is simply God's middleman, the game changer. And you need to understand that I said there are 2 key components. 1, the white horse. 2, the Abraham Accord. And you simply need to understand that there is the rider on the white horse, but there is the day coming, accelerating, global sequence, global events, catastrophic events. You see, a star called wormwood, sooner or later, the Lord is showing me the word sky, that will fall from the sky, and Satan falling like lightning to the earth. And I said a few years ago, what you're going to see on the earth during the 7-year tribulation period, during the reign of the Antichrist, you're going to see all 3 in operation. You're going to see the Antichrist, you're going to see the false prophet, and you're going to see Lucifer on the earth as well. All 3 in motion, all 3 in full gear, bringing devastation, things being devastated left and right. And the glory of God had me tell you and speak and reveal that to you, I believe back in 2021, 2022, or maybe 2020 or 2023, where I said that all 3 unclean frogs, which speaks in Revelation chapter 16, they all have to be fully in place. And then the Lord is showing me simply in the realm of the Spirit, Luke chapter 10, verse 18, where Jesus said, I saw Satan fall like lightning to the earth. And the word of the Lord came to me just now. And the grace of God spoke. And these were the word of the Lord that the Lord brought to me just now. He said, I remind you to remind them concerning the title in which you did concerning the star from the north. And you are seeing very quickly that that is also beginning to shape up. You're seeing things like shutdown. You're seeing the crackdown. You're going to see things that you have never seen before. And I have said over and over that at some point in this global confrontation that we're going to, in a moment when we're beginning to see, that's what's shaping also, is the Ezekiel 38 war, the battle of Armageddon. What you also beginning to see is the battle and the race in the nuclear arm race, which God spoke not only in 2010 in a place called Singapore. All the players are in place, but there is one guy that has the final say, and that guy is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. I want to make this very clear, that in the Abraham Accords, you see that God took me into this vision very quickly, popped the window open, showed me those three structures over in the Middle East. What you need to understand, that in this global digital ID, God is saying something to me. I want to wait till he finishes what he is saying. God is saying that this global digital ID is the framework and frame shape to the mark of the beast. It's not the mark of the beast. It sets the tone. In other words, it's the prelude to the mark of the beast. God saying that when it comes to this global digital ID, it's the framework and the frame shape of what's coming in the near future, but a whole lot quicker than you think so. God's simply saying the mark of the beast. You see, they will use AI. They will use all of its infrastructure. They will use everything that is globally digital. But I want to make this very clear. The Lord said to me the word alarm, and then he's showing me the word alert. It's a moment that all civilization and all of humanity, especially every born-again believer, every saint, every believer, leaders in Ephesians 4:11, need to continue to not only dress and rehearse. Those are the words that the Lord just said. Rehearse and dress. Be dressed and ready, because the grace of God is simply saying in this title called The Trigger, the two-state solution. You saw the Saudi Crown Prince down at the White House yesterday. Perhaps he's still in the States. He hasn't gone back to Saudi Arabia. You see that all the players are in place. You got the Saudi Crown Prince. You got Donald J. Trump. You got Gerald Kushner. Not only you got King Charles, then you got global organizations and corporations. You got the UN. You got the World Health Organization. You got the World Economic Forum. God said something to me to remind you concerning the title that I did concerning the UN logo. Remember, I did a title, and the grace of God gave me specific instructions. The glory of God said, you need to go listen to the title, the UN logo, because the UN with the Antichrist. And I have said that the Antichrist has been stalking civilization. World leaders, world power, world government know who's the Antichrist. They will sit there and tell you that they don't know who the Antichrist is. But I have said all along that world leaders, world power, world government are simply listening and taking instruction from the Antichrist, because God just said that the Antichrist is stalking civilization. There's a word in the realm of the Spirit where the grace of God showed me. And I want to make this very clear. The glory of God is not only speaking very clear in this title called The Trigger, the two-state solution, all the players in place, but there is one giant that stands above all. He has the final say. He is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He reigns forever. Abba Father, the reigning King. Not only he's the reigning King, but he's the eternal King, and an everlasting King, and a perpetual everlasting Father, and a Prince of Peace, and a Prince of Righteousness. And he will simply have the final say. In this title that I just told you, The Trigger, the two-state solution, keep in mind and bear in mind that I told you that there was a word that the Lord showed me in the realm of the Spirit. And that word was the persecution. You're going to see the persecution. You're going to see the abandonment of people not only betraying one another, abandoning their loved ones. You're going to see that believers are going to turn unbelievers. You're going to see that in the moment, in which I call the clutch moment. Bound in the clutch, in the crunches. You need to understand that the glory of God is simply saying, it's like grape in jelly. It's grape in jelly on breadsticks. And what I simply want to say is that God literally is going to lit up the whole world. Not only lit up the whole world, because his anger has been aroused. And I said over and over, going back to the beginning of 2020, that the minute that world leaders, world power, world government touch the children, I said God will totally go to war. You see the sex trafficking. You see the scandal when it comes to the Epstein file. You see there is turbulence down in D.C. You see, there's turbulence everywhere when it comes to the Epstein file, when it comes not only corruption, manipulation, scandals all over the place. In the corporate world, outside the corporate world, inside the body of Christ. And God is simply saying what he just said to me. It's a stiff-necked nation. Believers and saints practically around the world with a cave-in mentality, with a grasshopper mentality, Satan simply peppering away, having this way, not only bringing devastation, swinging your emotion, not only swinging your emotion, but I said that right before the rapture or after the rapture, the day after. Remember, I did a title called The Day After, or the day before, or the day after. What you're going to see is simply the days of Lot. Remember, there are many that simply continue to talk about like the days of Noah. But as we reach the point of the darkest period on the face of the earth, what you got here is simply a replay of the time of Sodom and Gomorrah. That's why God makes a prolific proclamation. Jesus goes on to make one of the most prolific proclamation and decree ever. He says, when you see the moment, when you see Jerusalem surrounded, when you see that moment of devastation, do not pack your bags. Do not turn back and go back home to get your belongings. Simply run to the hills. Run not only to the caves and to the hills. And what the glory of God is simply saying, that he reminds you and I, like the days of Lot, like the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, and Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt. The moment of truth is coming, where you got all the players in place. Not only when it comes to the Gaza Strip, when it comes to this thing called peace troops or peacekeepers in the Gaza Strip. What that's going to lead is to a whole different escalation. And it's going to lead to the invasion from the north. And Israel is going to be and find itself where civilization is right now. And that is in the bubble. It's where everything is fragile, where everything has simply accelerated in the sense that everything is declining. There's no normalcy, nothing normal. There's nothing normal anymore. You see that reaching the peak in the climax of 96 hours. I said there are three divine principles in place, and the glory of God is simply saying, look up the global sequence, global event, catastrophic events. Revelation 16, the unclean frogs. You're going to see Revelation 6:1. There are two different type of horses. One from Revelation 6:1, that rider on that white horse, you and I know it's the Antichrist. But then Revelation 19, and the rider, and the only rider, faithful and true, faithful and just, King of kings, Lords of lords. And the Lord opened the window, and I see a white horse with his legs up in the air, dancing, rejoicing, because, and these are the words that the Lord just brought up in my spirit. He popped my ear open when I said the horse with his legs up in the air, rejoicing and dancing. When I said that white horse with those words, not only on the side, faithful and true, faithful and just, the glory of God popped my ear open, and he said, Hosanna, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And when world leaders, world power, world government think that they have now come to a point that every leader, every single world leader, every nation, every government around the world has come to a point where they totally agree on the two-state solution, where they just voted yesterday, the glory of God is simply saying, simply look up. This title has two key points. And I said, it's a white horse, it's the Abraham Accord, it's the masterpiece that triggers in the 7-year tribulation period. It's the masterpiece, the Abraham Accord. It's the masterpiece to the fulfillment of truly a peace treaty on earth, which everyone will embrace, which everyone is talking about today. Not only civilization, not only world power, world leaders, world governments, not only inside the body of Christ, but globally around the world. All you got here is total turbulence, total chaos, total confusion. God said what? And showed me what? Persecution. There's coming the persecution and believers abandoning their loved ones. You're going to see the betrayal where believers are going to betray believers. You're going to see the time of what the Lord just said and uttered. There was a pop in my spirit when the Lord said to me, the Roman Empire. You see, the Roman Empire. But here in this moment, which we have witnessed today, not only in the U.S., where the Saudi Crown Prince was at the White House, where they said that they will invest $1 trillion into the U.S. economy. But I got news for you. Everything simply, totally collapsed. And the Lord showed me these words in the realm of the Spirit. Are you ready? This one you circle, this one you write, this one you remember this guy right here. Because God said that BRICS will simply collapse. I said that BRICS will collapse. I said the decoupling of China. I said a global war in the South China Sea, the Indo-Pacific, not only goes up in flame. God said to me the word the Quad. Those nations that are called the Quad, going to battle, going to war. God said the word rage. There's war raging in the Indo-Pacific. And I have said that more than likely the next war that breaks out is in the Indo-Pacific between the Quad and Western allies and civilization and NATO with America going to war against Russia. God said to me, not only North Korea, but I said Russia. The Lord said North Korea, China, to bring in Iran into that war in the Indo-Pacific and in the Pacific. God is saying that it's time for you to understand. Buckle your seat. Get ready to go on a highway which the righteous will go on a highway of holiness. But there is a moment that is approaching civilization, approaching the entire world, the entire earth. And that trigger, it's a major earthquake and a star falling from the sky called wormwood. You got Armageddon. You got not only the Psalms 83 battle, still in the fact, you got a war that eventually, at some point, all of Damascus will be ruined. You would say, but Damascus is ruined today. And I would simply say to you, Damascus has not reached the point or the trigger where it's totally, completely ruined. So you see the Isaiah 17, Isaiah 16, been what you're beginning to see, that Syria is being not only ushered into this final moment, final days of civilization, where they globally, around the world, with Turkey and all Arab nations in the Middle East, they form this NATO-type coalition. They form this NATO Middle East army, and they simply go up to invade the nation of Israel. And the Lord is showing me one word: Confederacy. Is it possible that the grace of God is revealing that the 10 nations that come together and pledge an allegiance to the Antichrist, watch what I'm going to say. It's impossible that those 10 nations that form this allegiance with the Antichrist are 10 nations out of the Middle East. I'm going to simply say to you that I'm right, and more than likely, that's a yes as an answer. You more than likely will see 10 nations from the Middle East. I said, could it be 10 different tribes? And the Lord said to me 2 words. I want to be careful, but the Lord said the Sunnis and the Shiites. We can go back to biblical ancient time. We can go back all the way to the time of Noah. We can go not only back to the time of Noah, we can go back to the time of Lot. We can go back to the time of those that today, and we know as Edom, and not only the tribe of Edom, but also those that are representations from the tribe of the descendants of Lot, but also the grace of God said, are you ready? The descendants of Ishmael. You got a global Middle East Confederacy. You got 10 nations out of the Middle East globally coming on board with the Antichrist. Remember about 10 minutes ago, he revealed to me, he said what? The Roman Empire, the papacy, not only the papacy, the Roman Empire. Could it be that this papacy fulfills prophecy where you're going to see the revived Roman Empire and the Antichrist coming out of Europe or out of the European Union or somewhere out of those European countries? Because back in early ancient civilization, back in the early days of biblical time, remember that when we talk about Europe, Europe was practically spread out, even out to the Middle East. It's not the 27 nations block that we see today that represents Europe, but back in ancient biblical time, and back then, Europe was more stretched out when it came to the nations of Europe. And God is saying, in this channel, which I call the trigger, the two-state solution, is it possible that in this moment where everything will become a global confrontation, could it be that God simply is saying, prepare your soul for the rapture, but prepare your soul for the persecution? I have said, and I will close, that we will be here for a moment. We will be here for a split second. And we will be here not only for a split second, but we may go through some very difficult time and some very difficult moments and some very hardship moments before God decides to take and remove the saints and believers. That's why I've been saying that despite you hearing us here on Catch and Go say that we're closer to the rapture, inches away, which is true, I have been saying that more than likely we will be here for a moment. The moment of truth is coming, and it's coming quicker than you think so. But remember, in this beginning of this telecast, or somewhere in the middle of this telecast, God gave one key assurance that you need to take with you and constantly remind yourself, your husband, and your children. And that is that God said, now you need to listen carefully and I'm going to close. God said that when it comes to the global digital ID, he said it's the framework and what is it's the frame shape in the prelude to the coming mark of the beast. So God is making it very clear that the global digital ID is not the mark of the beast. It sets the tone for the mark of the beast, but the AI infrastructure to fully be implemented and fully in place. And then what you got is the establishment, the trigger, a two-state solution, the Sunday law, a one world religion, a one world government, a new world order. And the Lord opened the window, and I'm going to tell you what he did. He opened the window. I saw rain come down, and the Lord said, the latter rain. Could it be that in the latter days, in these latter moments, because the Bible does speaks concerning that in the latter days, these are the global events that will happen. But it also triggers something else. The latter rain, the latter showers, where God soaks his people. God not only soaks his people, soaked in righteousness, soaked in holiness, oaks of righteousness, believers, born again believers that are practically immovable, unshakable, and are not shaken but what's taking place here on earth or down here on the ground. God simply is saying that in this latter days and in the latter rain, the showers, the blessing, God is wanting to close in this title class, the trigger, the two-state solution. He wants to close in great fashion, making it very clear that despite of all the AI infrastructure, despite of all this technology and this global digital ID, global currency, one world currency, euro currency, the grace of God simply is saying that these are the words that he said. Have faith as a mustard seed. The glory of God has every intention to take the church out and blazing speed, blazing power, under his blazing might, under his blazing glory, under the impeccable, everlasting. He's impeccable. He's untouchable. He's unbeatable. He's undefeated. No one can match him. He's matchless. He's beautiful. Not only beautiful in description, his name is Jesus. Not only Jesus Christ is getting ready to clear the clouds, but he wanted to close in great fashion by simply saying, look what's coming. It's the latter rain. He said to me, grain, wheat, rice, oil, barley. And God, we say that grain, wheat, barley, and rice, that he will provide seed to your soul in a moment of global drought, global famine, global escalations, global tension, global darkness, thick darkness. God's supernatural beaming light provides more than just a bowl of rice. And you experience in Genesis 37 to 50, a Joseph making moment. The glory of God is saying that when it comes to the global digital ID, God is confirming that it is not the mark of the beast. I'm going to leave it right here in this title, the trigger, the two-state solution. And God simply saying all the chips are in place, all the players are in place, but there's one God that God showed me and spit out this word and said this word to me. There's one guy that will simply score checkmate. I leave it right here. May the Lord so richly bless you. Remember to click like, share, subscribe, hit on the bell to receive our latest telecast.